Hi, I am going to demonstrate how to make the poinsettia or poinsettia pillows with the leaves. I've made a few now, so I pretty much know how I like to do it, but you can make them bigger or smaller. You'll use the most of white. I'm going to use white with a red poinsettia, green leaves, and then a little gold center mustard. So I always unravel my yarn and make it into a ball like this. And then I measure for how much to use using my yardstick. For this one, you will need 27. So there's 1, 2, 3, so on. I already measured and I have 27 yards of white. So 27 yards of white. I have 7 yards of red. I have 3 yards of green. I probably won't need this much, but I like extra. And then this is my scrap of mustard for the little center. So you start with the white. Make your hoop. You're going to do your chain. Oh, wait, you leave like a tail, sorry. Leave a tail of like 10. And then you make your chain. Don't make them too tight. So here's what we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, oop, some fuzz, 9, and 10. So I have 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Move this stuff over here. All right. Then you do your circle like this. Your working yarn is up here. You need to find the end of this yarn. That's why I always just pre-measure and cut it, because I'll need the end. Because I always tie a knot in it, but okay, so I'm trimming this knot off for now because I tied it on the end. Okay, so here's your 10th piece of the chain right here. Behind is your working yarn. This is the end of my working yarn. I'm just going to tie it to make a big loop with all my yarn. So here's my yarn. This is going to be a big loop of all my yarn. So I'm just going to wrap this around and tie it in a knot, really tight. Super tight. So there was your 10th in the chain. Behind it is where I tied my knot. Tie it tight, trim it. So now my working yarn is all a great big, maybe that's better, is a great big loop. Okay, so you have your chain of 10. You've made it into 2 strands that's continuous. Make a circle. I always put my tail in front. So this was my first, the outside of my first chain. On the outside, I just grab through it, pull my working yarn through, and make a hoop. And I just keep grabbing the outsides. So all of these, the outsides. Go around. And I'm going to do this all the way around till I get to the end, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've done all my loops around. This is the tail that I'm going to tighten up the bottom with. I'm just going to keep that in there. So I'm coming on my last hoop. What I do for this last hoop, because I've just done all of these, the last one, I like to twist it, just because otherwise it kind of hangs loose. I twist it, and then I put the final loop through that. So, I mean, you kind of have this pretty flower looking thing. All right, so I've done once all the way around. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hoops. Okay, this is my beginning. This is where I tied the knot. So I'm going to go around one more time. And I try to keep the 2 hoops that I'm pulling it through, I try to keep them stacked so that when you see them lay on the pillow, they're not all twisted. Okay, so I'm going to stack these one on top of the other, pull through. Stack on top of each other, pull through, keep going around. Stack on top of each other, pull through. All right, I'm going to do this all the way back to the beginning, all the way around, and then I'll come back. Okay, I've just done my second set of loops all the way around. I forgot to mention, I started measuring mine with the yardstick so I could know that I'm consistently right, because sometimes the skeins were 24, sometimes they're 28. They vary a lot, so I just always measure my yarn for something like this, then I don't have to adjust as much when I get doing it. All right, now, so I've gone around twice and I'm back to the beginning. This is where you fold it in half so that you can start to, by folding in half, you're pulling your loops closer together when you do your, when you're doing the loops. So here was my last one on my chain. My final one. I'm starting where my knot is. So this will be my third row. I'm going to do the same thing. Get my loops, stack them so they're nice and smooth on the sides. Try to keep them about the same size. Keeping it folded. Keep it folded, but keep working around. I kind of pull them up together so that that gap between the 2 hoops keeps getting a little bit smaller. All right, not quite back to the beginning yet for my third row. Again, keep your loops stacked so that they look nice when you look down them. All right, I'm just checking. Here was my beginning one, so I have 2 more. One and 2. Okay. Now I have enough yarn to go around one more time. When I go around one more time, I'm going to do exactly what I just did. So this will be my 4th go around, and I'll be right back. Okay. Now I'm back to my beginning. So this is my last hoop. Okay, I've got a little bit of yarn left, which is fine. This is what you're going to do. I want to keep it a loop. So I'm going to cut. So this is my last loop of the pillow right here. Behind it is my working yarn. I'm going to cut it. You can either tie them together or burn them. Oops. I'm going to burn it back into a hoop. Okay, I'm going to let that cool off. All right, done with white. You're going to grab your red. All right. With your new back hoop, all you're going to do is loop it through, and then you're going to create, here's the two ends of my reds. I'm going to connect those, so it's just going to be that these have been looped and chained together, so they continue on. I'll burn these and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've connected the red, and it's one big loop. Here's where you're also going to add your green. So I've got my olive green. That same hoop, I'm going to attach the green to it also. Get them real flat. I like to pinch it on both sides so it kind of makes it flat. Otherwise it can get kind of pokey. But you can also tie it in a knot and trim it. Okay, so off of this back chain, I've got two loops. One's red and one's green. All right, here's what you're going to do first. Okay, we're going to do 3 leaves. I'm going to start with the green. So this is my first row, the last loop that I just did, but I'm going to go right below it. I'm going to pull the green through. This green leaf is going to be formed over this white loop, so it looks like this. I'll show it again. So this is the first when I go around, the final one, but I'm not going to go through it here. I'm going to basically be putting a double green loop right over this white one. So like this, okay? So there's my green, but now I'm going to grab my red, and it's going to go through both the double green and the double white, like this, okay? Turn it. I'm going to do another leaf. So I have my green strand still going. I'm not going to put it here. I'm going to put it below it. I'm going to grab it, pull it through, and it stacks right on top of the existing one. Then I'm going to grab my red, and this will be my second petal of my poinsettia flower. Okay, now I'm going to skip this one. I don't want a leaf here. I want to do 2 leaves, skip, and then a leaf. So this is just white, so I'm going to make sure it's stacked. But I need to put red through that one. So right now I've done green, green, white, all red. I'm on to number 4. Okay, I'm going to make sure it's stacked. And I'm going to pull the green through one more time. So green is going to go through here so that it forms on top of the white. On top of the white. Untwist it. Okay. Then, again, pull your red through, because your red's going to go all the way around. All right? So you have red. Now, I'm done with the green. You could add more leaves if you wanted, So I'm just gonna tuck it in here for now. I'm done with it. But I'm gonna go the rest of the way around with red. Whew. With the red. Try to make them all pretty much the same size, best you can. Okay. And then here's my last one. I have a lot of fuzz. All right, pull it through. All right. But I still have some, this is going to be the remaining yarn that I use to cinch up the top. But I've got to deal with the bottom first. But before I cinch up the bottom, here's my inside where you can see where I put the green through. I'm just going to tie the green to itself. Make sure though that you're not moving this. So I hold my hand there to make sure, and I just tie this in a knot. And then I just cut it. I mean, you can leave it in here if you want. I just didn't ever want it to poke through. So maybe tie it again. I just don't want it to move. So your green's tied off. Okay. Now we're going to do the bottom. Okay, so flip it over. Here's my tail. All right. So I have this. I am going to put it through all of my hoops and cinch it. So I'm going to go one and go through here. I'm going to go through here. It's all these top ones. I'm going from the inside out. The bottom you can do, if you have a different way you do it. This is just how I do it. Kind of cinch it as you go along a little bit so it won't be as hard at the end. Okay. Okay, I'm going to pull a little bit. You got to move it around. Slowly gets tighter. Right there. Here. Go around again. Let's see. Let's do one more. Okay. So, whoops. I don't want to grab that one. Sorry. Back up. There's the one I want to grab. Right there. Okay. That would have messed up the look of it. I shouldn't have pulled that one. You get to see me make mistakes as I'm doing it. Okay. So I've cinched the hole up. Pull it through the center and flip it over. Tighten it, and then just attach it somewhere. Pull it through a loop, and then just tie it off. All right? So after you've done this, you're ready to fill it and cinch up the top. So I just tied it on anything that you see in there. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, I just use polyfill. You don't need a ton. Start with that. Bring the sides up. Go to where I began. Okay, so here's my ending. I'm going to start with this much fill and then add on. So this was my last petal, and then this is my extra yarn. All I'm going to do is go from the inside out on all these red ones. And as I do it, I make sure that they're stacked so that they look nice. You can adjust afterwards, but I try to do it as I go too. Just keeping going around, grabbing all of the loops, drawing them in. Again, going from the inside through and out. To adjust this, pulling on the end kind of shorten one, but you can adjust it as you go. So here's my last one. So this is where you start to have to kind of artistically shift these petals around so they look nice. But you can see already that it's forming the poinsettia. Now, this was the first one I went through. I'm going to go through it again to help close it off, which happens to be, my first leaf one. Move things around one more time. If they get tight on this end, that means you need to shift them over, and that loosens them up so they're spread out evenly on that piece of yarn you threaded through. Okay? Okay. So, here you have that one. I think I'm going to do one more. So I'm going through two. So basically the two that have the leaves here, I'm going to go through those. Now, I'm at the end and I like the shape of it. So, I am going to, I'm going to go off to the side here, down into the pillow with my red hoop, and find one of these underlaying strands. And this is what I'm going to do, because this is a hoop that has some fuzz on it. I'm going to cut it. Then all I'm going to do is tie it around one of those underlaying pieces of yarn, tie it in a knot, and then just tuck it right back in. Okay, and there you have your pillow with leaves. Now I'll be back. We'll do the little gold eye. This is about 12 inches. I'm just going to make a hoop, pull it through. So I'm going to make 2 chains. I'm going to make that one. And I'm going to just pull that through like that and then tighten it up just so it makes a little bit of a knot. And tighten it. And that's going to be the little eye on the top. So I've got my pillow. I try not to put it on the same area that I tied the red off. So I'm going to shove one strand in there. Again, I'm going to find something to tie it on. And I tie it off so the button doesn't come out. Some people just stick them in there. I like everything secured. Okay, and tie that off. And then the same with this. So stick it down in there. Okay. Find your one of your strands here. Loop it around. Loop it around. Hold on. And tie it off like that. Stick it in there. So now you have your button, have your pillow. And then again, I like to stick my hands in, kind of zhuzh it around, make it even. Then you can kind of play with the petals if you think that they're not where you like them. But anyway, here is your pillow. Poinsettia, you could do a bunch of different colors. So anyway, there it is.